Faith Forged in Fire, where we dive headfirst into the unique challenges and triumphs that comes with being a firefighter, all while exploring what it means to live out a biblical worldview. Join us as we find hope, perseverance, and faith in the midst of the heat and chaos. Welcome to the podcast. Hey, we have got a special one for you today. Well, at least a fun one for you today. We're not going to dig into anything deep today. We're going to talk about some of the things we're thankful for, a special Thanksgiving episode right here on Faith Forged in Fire. I have in the studio with me, of course, as always, Chief.
Morning.
And I also have, if you listened to last week's episode, you met him. We have with us the Rookie.
Hi,
Rookie. Or Sawyer.
the man of many words.
The man of many words, yes. So we are just going to take some time, and hopefully you guys can enjoy this with us. Grab some coffee in between runs, or while you're waiting, or Mountain Dew, or while you are, if you're sitting in the car waiting on somebody while you're shopping or whatever. This is just going to be a fun time talking about specific things on this Thanksgiving episode that we are thankful for in the fire service. Can I start us off?
Please do.
I thought of one this morning that I wanted to talk about that maybe we wouldn't have thought of. Here's something I'm thankful for. I'm thankful we get to ride in the big red trucks.
It is fun.
I think we take that for granted. I know I do, because, the middle of the night or whatever else might be, and we're in the big red truck, and we're focused on whatever's going on. And then there's that little kid, not in the middle of the night usually, but, there's that little kid that's there waving. So here, case in point, yesterday I did a 24-hour shift for my chaplain duties down at Grand Rapids, and we went to do our daily shopping, pull up to the grocery store, and we all get out and go in. Of course, we've got all our gear on. We're in there shopping, and there's a lady in there with a little kid, and the little kid is just going crazy because there's these firefighters in there. And she said, man, when you guys pulled up and we were walking through the parking lot, he just started screaming. And it's always those little reminders that even though for us it's not a big deal, it's pretty cool that we get to ride around in the big red truck.
It is fun.
And own the road sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Depends on the people.
Yeah,
right?
Depends on how aggressive you are.
Yes.
Most of the time, the other people own the road, and you just hope to get through.
All right, so that's my first one. So you guys just jump in here with some things you're thankful for, and we'll see where this conversation takes us.
I'm thankful for the people that I get to work with. We've got a pretty diverse crew. A lot of them know what they're doing. And it makes my job as what you call the chief a whole lot easier, because without a good crew, you could be the best chief in the world. And if you don't have a good crew, you don't have much of anything. So, my crew makes it look pretty easy for me to be a good chief. So,
it's nice when you're incident command and you don't necessarily have to be command. They know what they're doing and they do it.
Right. No micromanaging.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Hey, Mr. Talkative over there, you can jump in anytime too, by the way. That's what you're here for. All right. So another one, I just kind of made some lists. I'll piggyback off of that. The people you get to work with. But for me, growing up, I was never in sports. So the idea of brotherhood didn't mean anything to me. If you're on a sports team, you kind of get that a little bit. It's not the same, but you get some of that. I never had that camaraderie or whatever you want to call it. So once I got on the fire department and started to build that kind of relationship, I really enjoy that. And I'm glad to have that as part of my life.
It is hard to explain unless you've been there.
Right.
People don't really understand it, we got your back, but we really have your back.
Right. My wife is like, we'll be in the store and I'll run into another firefighter and it's like, oh boy, here we go.
The 2-hour shopping trip. Yep. Are you talking about the other day when you ran into me at Meijer?
No.
Man, I just Did you catch up on that? I just caught that.
No, I forgot about that.
There's Chief. Run the other way, kids.
But it's funny because my wife has now we're not talking about what we're thankful for, but my wife actually will come home and she'll tell me several times, there's also this interesting camaraderie between families of firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
Just the other day, it happened again, and this happens a couple, 3 times a year to my wife, because my kids will always, they love wearing firefighter stuff. And then she has a shirt that has our fire department, and then it just says wife on it, And so people will sometimes come up and talk to her, and there's this lady that was a mom of a firefighter, and just, so that family that catches too.
Yep. Yeah, and that ties right into other things to be thankful for is the family. How many times have you been busy and then the tones go off?
Right.
You're thankful that the wife is home. I am able to take care of life without you, because you don't schedule when there's going to be a structure fire.
Right.
We had one, the other day at 1:00, and we got out of there at 6. You just don't know. Sometimes the tones go off and you're home an hour later because it was a burn barrel. And the next time it's like, oh, whoopee, this is it,
Yeah. And you said we had the one the other day at like 1 and got out of there at, I think it was later than 6. What day was that, Chief?
I don't know. I think it was Thursday.
No, I'm saying that was that
was your anniversary.
That was my anniversary, yes. Yeah. And I specifically did not tell you until the very end.
Yeah, and why was that?
Because I knew you were going to kick me off the scene.
Yeah, and we cleared the scene at 6:00, and then on your anniversary, your wife and kids ran and got me something to eat because I hadn't eaten most of the day. Yep. And you probably should be thankful that the chief didn't know it was your anniversary, because you're right. You would have cleared the scene and you would have went someplace other than there. But your family and the kids enjoyed it.
Right.
Sarge took over command for a little while. Yep. I think the daughters were...
That's my 8-year-old, for those of you wondering who Sarge is.
And I think your daughters were like safety chief, and one was logistics, I thought.
My oldest, she was not happy with me. She thought I was being unsafe, and I heard about it. So she was a good safety officer.
Good for her.
I had to tell her I was perfectly safe, but not in her eyes.
Well, I'll have to upgrade the candy there for her a little bit. But
so, yeah, I would agree. As when you have a family that's behind you, the kids enjoy any opportunity to get to the firehouse. That just happened to be, they got to actually be on a fire scene, obviously a ways away and safe, but to be able to watch that, they thought that was really cool. Yesterday they were hanging out in the area where I was running with Grand Rapids, and they saw me go by a couple times in the fire truck, lights and sirens, cue screaming, and they just thought that was cool. And I think I told you that we did go to dinner on my anniversary. We left the scene and went to dinner, but my wife was like, you need to go back and help. And so we went back and helped,
Yep.
And I was fine with that. But I really appreciate that heart that she has. Sawyer's a little different, and that he's not yet married, but so he has a fiance. So where's she in all this?
I don't really know yet. So probably talking to your wife mostly.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well,
and if it makes you feel better, he left a grocery store and came to our fire call that wasn't really a fire.
Yeah, that same night on my anniversary.
It was a little brush fire. On the
didn't
side
even
of the
make
road.
it home. Yeah, thankfully it was just a little brush fire on the side of the road.
if you guys are going to have a fire on a guy's anniversary, you ought to make it a good one.
That's what I figured. At least you had a good one for me.
Oh, yeah. No hose to wash afterwards?
No hose to wash.
Oh.
He got to run the pump, though.
Nice.
As a rookie, we made him run the pump.
Good. That's a pretty important job.
I know. So first time he got to run it on a real fire. I mean, it was a pile of leaves, but it was a real fire.
Yeah.
And he got water for us.
Yeah, without a good pump operator, all you got is a swimming pool on wheels. So
That's
you
right.
did a pretty good job then.
It's tough to get those reps on the pump one year, especially when it's a fully involved structure fire and everybody's yelling. The rookie doesn't get to go do that.
Nope.
So, yeah. Anything you're thankful for over there, Mr. Sawyer?
I would say fresh out of the academy, I would say good academy class, because it wasn't one person. It was, you were helping this other person, even though it wasn't part of your group.
Okay.
So
you were already learning the teamwork and the brotherhood
Yeah.
and that.
it wasn't you're out for yourself. It was more of, hey, you need help tying this knot. Well, I
Yep.
know how to do it. So then you would get 10 other people coming over and getting taught by one person that wasn't a certified instructor. It was like,
And I don't think that changes. I don't know about your experience, Chief, but for me, every class I've taken has been that way. You're looking out for the other people.
The people with more experience helping the other people.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Because we all want to succeed.
Right. It's just better for everybody, and ultimately it saves lives.
Yep.
Well, I'll just you guys just jump in. Man. We didn't. For those of you listening, I wrote down some things. We didn't want to plan this. We just wanted this to be a fun. Hey, here's what we're thankful for, because it's very easy to kind of get stuck in the grind of what we do and forget about the really cool things about what we do. So that's the goal, is to help remind you when you go back to work, or maybe you're working while you're listening to this, that you get to do something pretty cool. So we want to remind you of that. I'll really kind of piggyback off that idea you said, Sawyer, about the academy, and I talked about the classes. One of the things that I have thought has been really cool in my, quite a many years of fire service now, are the people that I get to meet through the fire service, whether it's people in the community or instructors, other firefighters, just all kinds of people all over the country, really. And that's just been amazing.
And then they're all down to earth.
Yes.
That's what, we were talking about the fire that we just had. Without naming names, there's one gentleman that walked up and talked to me, asked me if there's anything I could do, and I just explained, hey, guy's pretty well known,
Yep.
and been in command of a lot of things, worked
Yes.
for Grand Rapids Fire, and he just stood there, and I asked him, I said, hey, give me a hand. You seen anything?
He was an assistant chief or a deputy chief at Grand Rapids Fire.
So it's one of those, hey, you see anything that I'm missing, that I'm not doing? Is there something, because I want it, stand next to me and help me out. I'm not going to take offense to it if you go like, hey, you should have never done it that way. Well, okay, great. Now that's how I learn.
Right.
Everybody can learn. If you hadn't known who that guy was, you would have never known he's the most modest man I've ever seen.
Well, and he was there not as a chief. He was there with another department that he runs with.
As a firefighter.
Taking orders.
Yep.
Happily.
Yep. Yeah.
Just because he loves the fire service.
Retired deputy chief.
Yep.
He's a chief of another fire department. He's a firefighter on this one.
And teaches all kinds of classes, teaches them well, knows a lot more than you and I will ever know, probably.
Really down-to-earth guy. Yep. One of the best, probably one of the best guys I've worked with.
Yeah, well, that's one of the guys that I would lump in there. I stood there and talked to him for quite a little while and kind of thought, why is he talking to me? But he's just a really down to earth guy, and I appreciate him a lot.
And I hate to make his head swell, but it's kind of like when we met Jason.
Oh, don't do that.
It was kind of like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
This guy runs a couple fire. What did he say that one time? He run like 10 fires a year or something like that on Oakland.
A year?
I'm sure he'll correct.
That'll be the way to get him on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. At least he'll maybe leave a comment on the YouTube channel.
Come on. Have all kinds of things.
Come on, Jason.
Now. Yeah. Yeah, so the people we meet, that's a really big thing that I'm thankful for.
Yep, and they're always willing to help you be a better person.
Yes.
It's not like I'm the best firefighter, so I'm not going to share that knowledge with you because there's a competition. It's kind of like they always want to help everybody.
Right.
Make you a better person. And it's like mentorship that we talked about last time. Just imagine where you'd be if you had to read everything offline or in a book.
Right. Yep.
So.
Well, one thing I'll say I'm thankful for is the upgrade in technology over the years for the fire service. Because even though I wasn't on before SCBAs, I had instructors that taught me that were on way before SCBAs were even in the works, going in with nothing in the waiter boots instead of bunker pants, and just hearing from them what it was like in they're happy to see the technology,
Yep.
or at least those guys were at the time. But
Well, we were talking about this yesterday at the firehouse. There is this nostalgia that is cool. The captain of that firehouse, he was talking about riding, from downtown. For those of you who know the area, downtown Grand Rapids, riding the tailboard. Actually, on 9/11, they got sent out to the airport to sit, and it rode the tailboard out. And we all, as people who love the fire service, go, oh man, those are the good old days, till you fell off and got run over,
Right.
So to that point, there's stuff that, and I know people listening are like, oh, I still ride the tailboard. You give me an opportunity to ride the tailboard, I'm probably riding the tailboard. But there's just so many things safety wise, the quality of our gear. I look at some of those old pictures. I think there is no way those guys were nuts, man. Those are crazy. So yeah, I agree. That's a good one, Sawyer. The quality of technology that we have. People would, back in the day, they would not even have any way to fathom the idea of this nozzle that you've looked at that is like Bluetooth, and you hit the button from the nozzle and it fires up the pump. I
can't wait.
That's where we are right now.
Right.
Compared to where we were. So thankful for that.
It's not cheap, but yeah.
Right.
It'll be a great thing. I can't wait for that truck to show up.
We'll do a podcast on that, right?
We might do a podcast in that truck.
The most expensive studio we've ever been in.
There you go. Yep, Studio E.
Yeah, we might have to at least do a little video for the YouTube channel then.
Yeah, and then tying into that, like Sawyer's talking about all this technology, and it's not cheap. Technology is not cheap. Look at a thermal imaging camera.
Right.
I've not looked at the price of one lately, but I've got to believe that they're $1,200, $1,300 easy, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And without the support of the locals,
absolutely,
the taxpayers,
yep.
A grant.
Yep.
I got a grant that got us an SCBA compressor. Everybody goes like, oh, well, that money came from taxpayers.
Yes. Yep. It came from somewhere. Yep.
So, and I've got a millage coming up here pretty soon. So you're always thankful for, and we don't necessarily give everybody, they're always thanking us like, oh,
right.
Thank you. And it's like, well, you're paying your taxes.
Right. So thank you.
Yeah. That's what's given us the ability. So, it's important, I think, that people know.
And then supportive municipalities, whatever, even it doesn't matter the size. If it's, for me, kind of learning the Grand Rapids side, which is yes, to some people listening, maybe small. To you and I, the three of us sitting here we run in rural areas. Grand Rapids is massive. So from that and watching Chief, have to deal with that, really it's no different than you dealing with your township board in Little Solon Township. The money is just different, right? The stakes are a little higher because there's, instead of hundreds of thousands, there's millions involved. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. You're dealing with municipalities, and they have to support the fire service, or you're not going to get anything. And yeah, thankful for those, even those people who will support and sometimes not understand why we're asking for money, but hopefully trust why and support it anyways, because they might not understand all the technology or all the different things.
And I think for the most part, in the last couple of weeks, I've had other people, hey, thank you for everything that you guys do, and I think a lot of times I've gotten that a few times on the emergency calls in the last couple of weeks, but that's the people's opportunity. That's really the only time we're in their home. I mean, literally.
Right.
So a lot of them probably don't know who we are out on the street to stop and say thanks.
Right. No, they wouldn't.
But
especially in a volunteer, if you're in a full-time department, you're around town in you're making shopping runs or food runs or whatever, right. And you're in your uniform. You've got the big red truck sitting out in the parking lot, so they recognize you. But for those of us who are volunteer, we're, unless we have our T-shirt on, we're running around in plain clothes, and nobody has any idea who we are until we walk into their house. Yep. Good. Well, another one that I was thinking about is I am thankful to be able to do this just to make a difference I mean, there's a lot of ways. This is Faith Forged in Fire. We talk a lot about the Bible. We talk a lot about our faith. Obviously, the Lord has plans for everybody to make a difference. But the fact that we get to do something that is a very tangible difference in people's lives is very, like, I just enjoy that. I enjoy being able to do that, even when it's an inconvenience to me. And even those times where we're frustrated, maybe even with the patient, like, we should not be here. This is ridiculous that we have to do this. We're still making a difference. And we always need to remember that and be thankful that we get to do that.
And it makes a difference in their lives. You know, like you and I show up and go like, really? You know, but there's a reason they called 911.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to them, It could be a true emergency. Now, granted, there are some that want to use the ambulance as a taxi to get downtown, you know, those kind of situations. But for the most part, you know, people aren't having a real good day or a real good time of their life when they pick up the phone and hit 911.
Yep. Yes. Were you going to say something over there? You're so quiet today. So if people are listening and not watching, they don't even know we have a rookie in the studio because he has said about 2 words today.
Look to the left. He's sitting right over there.
Yeah, man.
My left. You're right.
This might be grounds to fire him.
Not happening. Kind of like you getting fired as the chaplain at Soul, and
so many times.
Not happening.
Anyways, all right. So here's another thing, and this one might sound really odd. Especially if you have listened to this podcast, at least from our beginning, the Rekindle, right? We've talked about the second or third episode, we talked about your story, and you used the analogy of shoes in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And so this might sound weird, but just thinking, I was driving home from Grand Rapids today, thinking about this episode and what I wanted to say. I am thankful for those shoes in the closet. So I'm thankful for them because the Lord uses them to grow me. He uses them to expose the weaknesses in my life, especially spiritually, where I need to lean on him more. But I actually struggle some in some ways with the general public, in that, you know, when I hear people comment this kind of naive, I'm like, you have no idea what goes on in your town all night, right? Like, we're out running these calls, and you know, there are so many bad things happening. And I guess I appreciate the fact that I'm not naive. And in a weird, it might sound weird, but I appreciate the fact that I experience those things, because it just makes you more resilient in life because you've walked through those things. I watch people, you know, you pull up on an accident scene that's not yours, but you just pull up on an accident scene because you found it, right? And people are just freaking out. And you're like, calm down. This isn't even a thing, right?
Right.
But the only reason I have that is because we have experienced, you know, all those experiences. And I just think there's a lot of good that comes from that to shape who we are.
It helps you through other things in life too.
It does.
You look at some of the problems that you have, and you look at like you're saying, a car accident to some people are like, oh, that's horrible. And we were out there and like, it's going to take 2 seconds to pop that door, and the person in the vehicle is not even hurt.
Right.
You know, but in other things in life, when things get thrown at you, you kind of do your triage, if you want to call it that, you know,
Right.
and go like, you know what, that's not really that big of an issue in the realm of life.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Or just the whole, just overall knowing that, you know, you might even see something else on the news or whatever, and people making a big deal, and you're like, there's a lot worse stuff going on. I'm sorry to tell you,
right.
But it just keeps me from getting carried away with nonsense and chaos and all that stuff, because we're in the middle of real chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on top of that, this going off what you said, the scenes, I guess my first one was house fire fatality, and first time ever having a fatality on the fire department. It didn't sit well with me for a little while, but I got over it, and next fatality, and I'm just first day, seeing it, and the day after is a little weird, but now it's normal, sort of. But
Right.
I just gotten over the fact that it was a fatality. I've just worked through it and made me stronger as I was going along.
And the more you do that, the easier it usually gets. And I know there's people listening, especially civilians listening, going, well, that's twisted. That's not right that you should be okay with that. But my point is, if more people could deal with that stuff, I think life would be better overall because we wouldn't be freaking out about everything. And to your point, Rich, it just helps you deal with other things better. It's just all the way around.
Well, and it's like you're on the topic of that kind of stuff, and it's like you haven't went through this yet, but I get a phone call while we were out west, and it's my daughter. She got in a car accident. Of course she shook up. That's obvious.
Right.
But I'm not asking are you okay, things, because with that experience, she called me, so I know she's conscious.
Right.
She knew her name, knew who to call, A&O times 4.
Right.
And she's talking.
And if it's not your daughter, we're going, well, they're fine.
She's breathing.
Right. Yeah.
So you look at some things.
Yep.
Other people don't have that. They go like, oh, no, an accident. And they go right to, somebody's going to die if I don't get to the hospital right away.
Right.
And I think that's strange for some people.
Right.
But with that experience in the background that we've got, you kind of put that in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Well, exactly. How many times you show up on a scene of anything and the people around are kind of freaking out and we have to calm them down and say, they're almost blown away when you say, well, they're not going to die.
Well,
they're for all practical purposes, they're fine. Yeah. They're probably going to take a ride to the hospital and get checked out, and maybe the hospital might even keep them for a little bit. But that's the thing. In our mind, they're fine because they're not dying. They're not, they're not as bad as half the other stuff that we deal with.
Well, in your case, that crash scene, everyone freaking out. We got mutual aid with rescue for extrication. You just pop the door open.
Well, that's it too. Just general problem solving.
Because everyone's freaking out around you, and you're so used to it. You walk up,
you gotta have
your
somebody.
hand in and pop it.
Try before you pry. Exactly. Yep. So it just in a general panic situation, it causes you to slow down. So I was downtown a few weeks ago. I was downtown, and there was a motorcycle accident. Motorcycle caught on fire. I knew the fire department was coming. So, of course, I'm going out there. I was downtown with my family. We were eating dinner and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to go see who's coming. So I go out there, and everybody's freaking out because his motorcycle is on fire. And, okay, we know we can look at this thing and say, okay, it's burned enough. It's burned through. The gas tank's melted. Like the tires are melted off. There's not much that's going to happen to this thing. And people were hollering at me, and I wasn't even close to it, but they were a mile away, so the same thing. They're freaking out, and I'm like, this is...
Thank you, Hollywood.
Right, for one thing, this is like a campfire in the backyard, except it stinks worse,
Right.
So, yeah, to your point, yeah, there's several times where we see that. Anyway, so moving on without dragging that on. Thankful, though, just to have that. And a lot of the memories, so the brotherhood comes from that too, by the way. That's what builds the brotherhood. I mean, we know that, but if other people don't understand, that's what bonds firefighters. Is, you might be a firefighter in a big city and I might not be, but we still see the same things, just maybe not as often as they do. We still go through the same thing. So there's just a kind of a universal bond with firefighters. So the other side of that for me then is I am thankful to have been stretched and challenged so many times. I don't know how many times I've told my kids when they're struggling with school, you never quit learning. Well, we say that. Firefighters, how many classes and you got to study and take tests and, you know, but the stuff, and then to accomplish that and realize, oh, hey, you know, I made it, I did it. And then the next class comes and you start kind of stressing and like, oh, well, here we go. But you did it, you made it, you know.
You could just about take a class, 3-4 times a week if you wanted to?
You probably could, yeah.
If you could arrange it, you could be always
I
continually
took 2
in training.
significant classes this year and turned down probably 5. And some of them were even more time consuming than these.
Yep, my latest and exciting one is the UTV/ATV training. So now I'm state certified to teach that. So
What, how to drive them?
yeah, yeah, you gotta go through the safety course. So that I was able to take that on Zoom.
You mean I can't just hit that thing at 100 miles an hour and
no
come in airborne?
Well, we probably shouldn't go there. Will that happen? Probably. Should it happen? Probably not.
Oh, all right. What else, guys? We're winding down here. What else are we thankful for? I've got a bunch, but I've kind of hit the ones I'm going to hit.
Well, I guess as a rookie, I'm thankful for the mentorship in the fire service, just because of the fact when I got on a scene my first time, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been trained up, and now I somewhat know what I'm doing, but still trying to figure everything out of how the book told me to do it, but this is the way we do it as a fire department.
Right.
And this trying to learn where everything is still on the truck a little bit, and this having people walk me through different scenarios and getting ready to drive in trucks too, and figuring out, well, this one you can this all the way to the floor the whole entire time because it's not getting over 32 miles an hour. Or this one you got to be like you're driving a car. It responds really quick to you. So
all that stuff you got to learn. I was thinking about that. I said I was done, but I was thinking that was the other thing I was thinking about today. So I would say this too. I'm thankful for both of you, and here's why. I mean, there's reasons, but other reasons too. But exactly to your point, Sawyer. So I was thinking way back, I don't know, 13, whatever it was, a bunch of years ago when I was the rookie. In fact, when I was the rookie, I wasn't even intending to be this far into it. And so I came in as somebody who I wanted to learn as much as I could just to earn the respect and be helpful to you guys. But I very much remember, Chief, you were captain at the time, and just your response, how often you would just kind of patiently teach me. If I messed up, you know, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, things now that I'm like, well, that was so dumb. Why did I do that?
But you don't know.
But I didn't know.
Right.
So you guys just kind of patiently worked me through that. And so I thought, you know, so for that, I'm thankful because I'm sure you didn't really realize it then just because you were doing what you do and I was a new guy. But you guys, you and the others that were around had a significant impact on me being where I am today. I mean, you learn stuff at the academy, but it's not by the book. It doesn't work like the book does it, Sawyer?
No.
So you have to have people pouring into you, helping you. By the time I got to the academy, the doing was just, it was easy because you guys had just taught me so much. So I'm thankful for that. But on the other side, I'm thankful for Sawyer because Sawyer does a couple things for me. When the new guys come in, I kind of see their joy, like, you know, their big eyes when they pull up to their first cooker or their first like major extrication. And that kind of reminds me again, like, oh yeah, we kind of do some cool stuff, don't we? So that's exciting. And then as they're asking questions and I'm able to help them, we forget how much we learn. You know,
every call.
I'm not one of those firefighters that feels overly confident in any situation. When the situation presents itself, I can deal with it and do it. But I don't feel like, oh, I got this figured out. But then when I'm helping these guys, I'm like, yeah, look at how much I've learned. You know, I'm just thankful. So it makes me thankful.
And on that, you know, I'm thankful for the chiefs that I've had in the past. Every one of them taught me things. All of them have probably taught me good things. You know, you learn from the good and you learn from the bad.
Yep.
You know, some of them are go do this. You know, how do I do it? Not my job. That's your job. Go do it. And other ones have been, yeah, let's go learn together.
Right. Yep.
You know, so everybody, and I think every firefighter does that too. You can find somebody and you can go like, yeah, I don't like the way that's done. I'm not going to do it that way, or find positives and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, you thankful you get to learn from everybody because everybody's got ideas. You know, that's why I love it when Sawyer is around. Like when he's come down for some trainings, you know, I love that. I appreciate having a new guy come through because it gives you new eyes.
Yes.
You know, kind of after 20 years, you kind of have that,
Right.
What do they say? Firefighters don't like, or like, they don't like the way things are and they don't like change. Is that, you know?
Yeah.
So when you have a new guy come in and can actually, you know, come up with their ideas, they kind of come at it with fresh eyes, like where you're saying like, oh, I had no clue. Well, sometimes that's some of the places where good ideas come, where a guy like Sawyer comes on and goes like, guys, why don't you do it that way? Well, we've never even thought of that. We would have never done it that way, you know? So it's great to have that too.
Or sometimes a simple question of why do you do it that way? And sometimes you have an answer, and then sometimes you realize I've been doing it this way my whole career because somebody else told me to do it this way. I don't know why. Do you have a better way? You know?
Right.
Oh, you do have a better way.
This is the way the fire service has been doing it for 80 years, and nobody's questioned it.
That's right. We're not changing it. It works.
Yep. So, absolutely.
Good stuff. All right. Well, we are running out of time here. We are over our typical half hour. Is there anything anybody else wants to add here?
I want to thank the listeners.
Yes.
This is kind of a new and upcoming thing. So
yeah,
I know that probably right at the beginning of the podcast or YouTube video, some people pulled over because they heard the sirens coming. I did that myself the other day when I fired up the podcast. The sirens made me look in the rearview mirror to see what I was missing. And, you know, without those guys and that would be,
right.
That's, I appreciate the listeners and getting this podcast out and about, and maybe we can help some people.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can comment on there. If you're listening, jump over to YouTube, subscribe over there. We are thankful for all of you. It is encouraging every time you watch if you hit the like button. So I guess that's how we're going to close this thing out, is just say, hey, you can listen to this pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can watch it on YouTube if you want to watch it there. And we love having you do this. We wouldn't do this if nobody listened. So
yeah, we would.
Well, just sit around and talk.
And the people on YouTube, I think probably if you're listening to the podcast, zip over to YouTube really quick. There is actually 3 people in the studio, not just 2.
Right.
There is a third.
There is a third.
He's just a little shy. Promise we'll break him of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was kind of different because I've been doing YouTube and podcast stuff for quite a while. You were brand new, but I think you're already clicking right along. So we got, just like everything else, we got a rookie. So we got to break him in.
And I love that.
Yep. All right.
That makes me one of the experienced guys. Experienced, not old, experienced.
All right. We'll see you in the next episode.
Right.
Let us know what you're thankful for in the comments. Please let us know what you're thankful for in the fire service or in life if you are not in the fire service. Talk to you later.